Hello, and a very warm welcome to Sparsholt College. My name's Richard Rex, and I'm here today to talk briefly about the Arboriculture and Forestry department, of which I'm a member of that team. I think, to start with, just to give a brief overview of what those two things are the differences between arboriculture and forestry. Arboriculture is about managing individual trees, and the role of an arborist is primarily to try and keep trees in their locations for as long as possible for the benefit of us, of humans. So we would look at trees to see if they pose any risk, for instance, and we might then prescribe methods of care to try and retain that tree whilst possibly having to carry out tree pruning operations, which would obviously involve tree surgery work, the aerial based stuff. Whereas forestry is more about managing groups of trees with the primary objective of growing a crop in the form of timber. So it's about planting trees, helping them establish, helping them grow big and tall, and then harvesting them after 50, 80 years as an actual crop. Within the department, we have very clear expectations, and we like to keep them as simple as possible. With high expectations of our students, we manage to get very good results, very good success rates. And as I say, we like to keep them simple. Rule one essentially is we need you to turn up. We've got expectations of 100% attendance. There's obviously going to be the odd scenario where someone is not able to attend, but a reasonable excuse for that might be that your leg's hanging off, not necessarily the sniffles. So we don't really take that as an excuse. Every day that you miss is a day of learning that you miss, and the more time you miss, the less chance you've got of passing. We also expect that our students turn up on time. Our main job here is to prepare people for industry, and you tend to find that if you don't turn up for your job on time, then you don't have a job for too long. So we expect people to be punctual to all lessons and activities. We also ask that you all work hard, and by that I mean doing what you're supposed to be doing, making sure that you're making the most of your learning opportunities and pushing yourself all of the time. And finally, doing your homework. There is an element on all our courses for you to carry out homework. So we ask that you complete that homework to a good standard in a timely fashion. And essentially, with those four very basic rules of turn up on time, work hard, and do your homework, we can pretty much guarantee some success. And there's Success Baby to show you what that's going to look like at the end of your time. So just to show you what we offer courses within the department at level 1, 2 and 3. They're all City and Guilds courses, so widely recognised. The level 1 course is largely a progression course, so the idea of that is for students to be able to complete the level 1 to then progress on to a level 2 course, ideally. Entry requirements are 1s and 2s at GCSE. The level 2 is starting to get a little bit more technical, and we start to use chainsaws and carry out tree climbing operations, etc. And entry requirements are 4 GCSEs at grade 3. And at level 3, we then specialise further and really start to hone down the skills into either arboriculture or forestry. And the entry requirements for that are 5 GCSEs at grade 4 or above, which must include English, maths and science. So just to take a closer look at those individual courses, we'll start with the level 1 rural skills, woodland and conservation. You can see the topics that are covered there, and feel free to pause and have a good look through. I'm not going to take you through all of them, but that's the level 1 looks something like this. It's 3 days a week for 1 year. It's very practical heavy, so about 50% of the timetable is practical and 50% theoretical. And looking back at those topics, some of those theory elements will be things like tree or plant identification. That timetable will also include any maths and English that you may not have achieved at school, so you still need to be working towards maths and or English to a GCSE grade 4. You would need some PPE, some personal protective equipment. All that you need for level 1 is work boots and work gloves, so some steel toe cap boots. We do tend to work in some quite muddy environments, and also some gloves just to protect your hands for doing vegetation control and when you use sharp things such as pruning saws or bill hooks. How the level 1's assessed is threefold. So there's 2 exams. We have an exam on a mandatory health and safety unit. There's also another mandatory unit, which is the land-based industries, which actually covers a whole range of land-based industries rather than just stuff within woodland or conservation, such as equine and agriculture. So looking into the basics of those industries. And then the more specialist units, such as the tree identification, plant identification that I just mentioned, are assessed by unit assignments throughout the year. You need to pass all of those elements to be able to complete the course, and you get awarded your level 1 diploma at either a pass, merit or distinction at the end of the year. As I said earlier, the level 1 largely is a progressive route to the level 2 courses, such as the technical certificate in arboricultural forestry and forestry, or the technical certificate in conservation, should you choose to go that way. There's also opportunities for apprenticeships, certainly in tree work. There's an arborist apprenticeship that we run here at Sparsholt, or possibly out into the workplace, which is very unusual for our students. Level 1 students, 99% of them will progress to a level 2 course. Moving on then to the level 2 course that we run, the technical certificate in arboriculture and forestry. So we're starting to specialise a little bit more into tree work now, and this is an overview of the industries of arboriculture and forestry. So you get to look at both of them, and you can skim down the topics there to see the sort of areas that you'd be looking into. The level 2 course is also a one year course for 3 days a week. This is about 40% practical. So as you can see, as we work up the levels, the theory element increases slightly. So about 60% of the time in the classroom. That again will include English and maths, should you not have those at GCSE. There's also a 2-week work experience placement. And from a PPE perspective, personal protective equipment, you would need from the outset chainsaw boots, chainsaw trousers, and gloves. We do have a small supply of helmets, but we encourage students to buy their own helmet. There's details, incidentally, of all the specifics of this chainsaw PPE on the Sparsholt website. The level 2 is assessed by what's called a synoptic assignment, which is a large project which covers all elements taught. So it's usually around 3 weeks long, and the students are set tasks, some written, some practical, and it gives a more holistic view or outcome for each student to give us a better idea of what kind of outcome they should get for the qualification, what grade, either pass, merit or distinction. There's also an online health and safety exam, which is a multiple choice, and then also a core exam, which again covers all of the mandatory units that have been covered, again as a multiple choice. Progression opportunities from the level 2 course are that as long as you've passed your maths and English at this stage and that you've gained a merit at level 2, you could progress on to a level 3 course. Usually our students progress on to either arboriculture or forestry to specialise in a particular industry, but there's nothing stopping you progressing onto a different discipline within the college, level 3 agriculture or horticulture, or wherever you feel your future lies. Or the opportunity, of course, to go out to the workplace and get into industry as a job. The level 3 starts to get a little bit more complex. We split then into arboriculture or forestry. The topics on the left-hand side are mandatory topics, so they're covered by both of those cohorts. And you can see that there's overlap between the two. So for instance, third one down, chainsaw felling and use. Arborists and foresters both need to be able to use a chainsaw and know how to fell a tree. On the right hand side, the more specialist topics then specialise that particular student into that field of the industry. So the arborist would be looking at arboricultural skills such as climbing and tree pruning and maintenance, whereas the foresters would look at those woodland management techniques such as silvicultural systems, which is the different ways in which woodlands can be managed. 2-year course for the level 3, and it's 3 days a week. This one's about 30% practical, so a lot less practical, but you've got 2 years of practical at 30%. So a lot more theory. Again, you'd need to have PPE, chainsaw boots, trousers, gloves and a helmet. And there's a work experience placement as well on this course, which is actually 10 weeks, although we spread that out over the year. So you essentially do 1 day of work experience a week. So you'd have your 3 days in college, 1 day in your industrial work placement. Similar to the level 2, this is assessed by a synoptic assignment, so that big project over 3 weeks. There's also a health and safety exam. There's also a core exam. This one's not multiple choice. They're short and long answer exams. That happens both years. So in year 1, you get a synoptic and a core exam. And then in year 2, you'd have a synoptic and core exam again. And then those specialist units that we looked at, such as the tree and shrub pruning and maintenance, have unit assignments which are assessed in-house throughout the year. Progression opportunities from the Level 3 Advanced Technical Extended Diploma in Arboricultural Forestry. It gives you UCAS points, so it can be used to go into higher education, possibly level 4 diplomas in arboriculture as a for instance, or moving on to do foundation degrees or degrees. Or there's the opportunity, obviously, to just go out, get a job within the industry. So I hope that I've answered some of your questions. Please do feel free to get in contact with us if you have any more questions. The applications are live online now, and we look forward to hearing from you.